Hello, friends. We're getting back to the topic of origins of religion. I had some things that I felt I had to cover, so that's why I went away from the origins of religion. Some of it had to do with things you needed to know, and some things had to do with something that I felt that I needed to address. Here we go. Anthropomorphism is when we give human-like qualities to non-human animals or inanimate objects. For instance, when we talk to our cats or dogs, we anthropomorphize them. We can also anthropomorphize trees by giving them god or goddess-like status. Anthropomorphic gods were likely pervasive in early cultures. Anthropomorphism diminished in literate traditions, giving way to monotheism, abstract principles, and gods that were transcendent and above human understanding. Anthropomorphism arises from social biases in our brains that lead us to extend human mental, social, and physical attributes to the external world. Cognitive models of the origins of intelligence make use of the social biases of the brain. The models hold that the modern human prefrontal cortex evolved to enhance survival in our social world. Thus, the largest part of the brain is dedicated to processing socially relevant data. Anthropomorphism is a byproduct of normal brain development, and as such appeared no later than modern anatomic humans about 200,000 years BP. Thus, anthropomorphism can be explained naturally. Synesthesia is the condition in which sensory data induces a response in parallel brain circuitry. For example, a person with this condition might smell colors. To a certain extent, we all have it, such as when music impacts us emotionally. This condition can be related to biological roots of religious ritual, including magic, numerology, music, and dance. This can explain anthropomorphism in that just as some people have heightened awareness between smell and colors, others imbue inanimate objects with personalities. A study by Smilik et al. Portrays the case of a teenage girl who assigns personalities to numbers. Interestingly, this parallels numerology, which is still in use. Fearman divides religious behavior into two types. A type 1 behavior that is universal in the major religions is called LSV behavior, lower, smaller, or more vulnerable. One function of this behavior, past and present, is to show submission. There are many variations, such as lowering one's voice, less eye contact, and tilted head. In religious settings, this can be seen by bowing the head and kneeling in prayer. Why do religious adherents engage in LSV behavior? LSV behavior reduces fear, but scientists are unsure if this is innate or learned. One can easily see why this behavior is used in religion. Asking a favor from a benevolent God or asking forgiveness from an angry God. Type 2 behaviors are culturally and functionally designed. For example, baptism. Although religion itself does not alter brain anatomy, the feelings it produces, such as love and joy, increased survival, and thus brain areas that produced these feelings increased in size. Thus, parts of the mind may be products of religion instead of religion being a byproduct of the brain. Barrett argues that religion, art, music, and other areas are products of human pursuit of values or way of life. In the axiological argument, experience of value comes first, followed by belief. It is now common to think that religion supplies value and meaning to a valueless and meaningless life. This way of thinking presupposes that the things we encounter in life are not intrinsically sources of value, yet they are. Value-rich experiences can be classified as an object, usually a person, as intrinsically valuable, or the experience itself as intrinsically valuable. In this axiological theory, religions are practiced for enjoyment and as a way of enriching mundane life. Almost all religious movements die out. So how did a handful not only survive, but flourish? It is important to understand a bit about cultural evolution to answer this question. Cultural evolution runs parallel to and interacts with genetic evolution. Our brains are equipped with cultural learning biases that include content bias. These biases make some ideas more memorable than others. However, this allows opportunity for the learner to be duped. The solution is that learners tend to pay more attention to models that enhance their claims with credibility-enhancing displays. Unlike biological evolution, cultural evolution can show effects in a relatively short amount of time. It can also help explain some of the enormous changes that have taken place over the last 10,000 to 12,000 years. There is coevolution between the size and complexity of society and devotions to big gods, gods which are interventionists and concerned with morality. These big gods were cultural variants of religion promoting pro-social behaviors. The pro-social encouragement of these deities outcompeted the morally indifferent deities of other religions. Then big gods spread when these cultures spread. Big gods emerged as big societies emerged. We can see this even today. Small societies generally have face-to-face interactions, and so nobody in said societies can avoid the spotlight. There is a caveat. There is so much diversity in small societies, past and present, that it limits generalization. I will be doing a show on religion and morality. For now, suffice it to say that the connection between religion and morality is cultural and probably recent. There is a definite link between big gods, morality, large-scale cooperation, and ritual elaboration in complex societies. Even though we have a biological predisposition to believe, our social environment shapes those beliefs, just as we have the genetic predisposition for language, but our environment determines what language that is. Some children create imaginary friends and act as if they truly exist. That is, children are capable of generating counterintuitive agents. This points to our cognitive flexibility. If this type of pretend, I am not speaking of mental illness, persists into adulthood, there will likely be social consequences. But if one refuses to believe socially sanctioned beliefs, there will also likely be consequences. I've spoken of theological correctness before. In short, people may profess to believe in an omniscient God, but this conflicts with how people think of God in real time. Therefore, it is reasonable to conclude that our stated beliefs are used as signals of group affiliation rather than assumptions we carry around with us. Darwin assumed that religion is our way of striving to find a worldview that makes sense of the world. But why do religious beliefs provide this? Research suggests that religion supplies a satisfactory explanation when a person's own ideas about the world are accepted, thus building solidarity. In other words, the religious views a person holds is satisfactory when one's peers hold those same views. Of course, for most religious communities, there is room for individual variation as long as those variations occur within the acceptable limits. There are limits to what people will believe. A great predictor in survival of beliefs is who holds the idea. This is known as prestige bias. People are less likely to critically think about those ideas put forth by those in power because people think those in power have access to social knowledge that ordinary people don't. People in positions of power attain that status by demonstrations of power. These demonstrations are not only generally materially costly, but socially costly if these demonstrations are found to be dishonest. Religion brings with it ritual obligations and required behavior. The costliness of ritual, time, energy, and financial, discourage those who don't believe in the teachings of that particular religion. Costly rituals increase group solidarity and cooperation. Thank you for watching. We've come to the end of another episode. As always, my sources are linked in the description. My friends, always stay curious and never be afraid. And I will see you next time. Also, catch me on Twitter.